Good morning. Bonjour. Buenos dias. O genki desu ka? Ni hao ma. Namaste, namaskaram. So I wanted to talk about crucifixion, pain, third dimension construct, your physical avatar, your genetic vehicle. I wanted to talk about the historical incident known as the crucifixion with person, I guess, known as Jesus. Although the spiritual reincarnation of Jesus, I understand as Sananda, and that presence is here alive, well, and working here today, now. Sananda, the risen, the Christ arisen. But anyway, the crucifixion and the brutality of that event, and pondering how it could be, how could somebody endure? I guess if you don't have any conception or context of what I'm talking about, and you're only go, I guess maybe the movie, The Passion of Christ that Mel Gibson did, or I think it was pretty graphic in its, depiction of what the crucifixion must have been like. However, that was a sort of a typical way for the Romans to deal with some of their most, some of the most hardened criminals. That was the message. That was the, the pronouncement of Roman justice. So it was something that was pretty substantial. If you crossed the line and you were sentenced to a crucifixion, well, that was a brutal way to die slowly. And anyway, without to glorify that or get too far into it, how could somebody endure that and still at the, if, all the reports about what happened at that moment with Jesus on the cross. And I'm not trying to debate that or say anything, but this is leading to ultimately to talk about somebody who I've connected with is Credo Mutwa of South Africa. He passed away, I guess, maybe a year and a half ago, 2020, 2021 in March, I believe it was. And I've watched a lot of videos on Credo, and I think I'm not sure about how he became known internationally but I do know that David Icke of the Englishman who was kind of responsible for a lot of information being put out about the reptilians and the true forces of power behind this planet. But Credo, he got all that information from Credo Mutwa, the South African Zulu shaman, Sansusi, I think. But he even had a higher title. He was, anyway, the videos watching Credo are fascinating. And Credo has this power about him that's not even, it's not like I'm talking about like a power where some kind of tough guy is trying to act like it's just the stuff that he's been through, that he went through. And the reason why I referenced the crucifixion to start all this off is because, some of the stuff I've read about Jesus and ascended masters and Sananda and channelings and all that, there's a consciousness that they're able to rise. And if you look at it like vibration frequency, so the question I posed was, how could somebody endure something like the crucifixion and still be cognizant and still say something like, "Forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do"? And a modern, to hear about something like that is from Credo Mutwa. When you hear his story and the things that he went through, and David Icke, again, most of the videos I've seen, David Icke has been involved in them. But apparently at one point, Credo Mutwa was tricked by fellow South Africans. And that's the history of South Africa and the colonization and the wars and the all that is, it's very, there's a lot to it that I don't understand everything, but my heart understands. My heart understands spiritual truth and power when I come across it and when I experience it. And Credo Mutwa is such. And so there's an incident where David Icke puts out, he has a video where Credo had been tricked into going away from where he lived to another place. And I think these were fellow South Africans, but see, there's a big division between, you know, like in colonialism, you have the dynamic of the younger generations get brainwashed into the dynamics of colonialism, and they're brought into the Christian faith. And so they become antagonistic to anything that has to do with the old, you know, way of doing things. And so Credo represented, you know, the old spiritual technology from his, you know, from the African Shaman, you know, traditions. So anyway, there was some antagonism, and somehow Credo got mixed up in that, and he was tricked. And then and God bless Credo Mutwa, his language, he's fluent in English. He's a writer. He was very creative. He's a sculptor, artist, but his language is, and I love language. I've always loved the written word, the spoken word, and you know, and his English language is I love it. And he explains to David Icke, you know, David Icke's going, well, why did you go with these people? Well, didn't you know any better? Didn't your spidey senses kick off? But Credo, I know I can sense what he was doing, because I've done it myself in a similar way. I've allowed my head to go inside the mouth of the lion, knowing. But Credo goes, I was being a quixotic backwards donkey, David. Talking about why he went along, because look, they got him and they were torturing him. They took pliers and were pulling his nails out of his hands. And I'm not sure exactly, Credo died at like when he was 99, but I'm not sure exactly what age he was. He had to be well past 60 or something when this happened to him. They were pulling his fingernails out with pliers and torturing him. But anyway, Credo talked about that, and he explained, you know, David's like, you know, how did you endure that? And Credo talks about his splitting his body in two, and what he means is his consciousness. He was able to leave his body. He split his consciousness in two, so he wasn't experiencing or feeling that happening. And so it's the same thing with, like, you know, a Jesus or some other person enduring these horrific things to your third dimension physical avatar, your genetic vehicle, you know, your flesh. And so in my estimation, Credo Mutwa is at least, or what, and when I say these terms of like comparison or whatnot, I'm not trying to make this an ego thing at all. I'm just saying the saints that have been alive in this world and that have gone unnoticed. But in my estimation, Credo Mutwa was at least as powerful as as Jesus Christ. I mean, you know, because he endured that and he still came back from it. But they stole his necklace. He had this big, humongous Credo Mutwa did, and that's the part of some of the tragedy of this story. And David Icke put the video out, and he offered this big reward for Credo Mutwa to get his necklace back, that he used for teaching and sharing stories and their traditions and the creations of the world. But see, the reason why David Icke was there with the Credo is because that Credo was like, I don't know how, the way it seems, I don't know how David Icke found out about Credo Mutwa, but Credo Mutwa's knowledge basically is what David Icke built everything on. And I'm not saying that he stole anything, you know, because David Icke, in my estimation, is an honorable person. But anyway, David Icke got the true knowledge about what's been going on in this world with the reptilian agenda, the 3D matrix, the brainwashing of everybody, the feeding off the negative energies, because all of the artwork and the stories that Credo has to tell are all about these reptilians and these aliens that came to the African peoples. And it's fascinating, and it's the true knowledge of what's been taking place on this planet. And so, and I wanted to share this and talk about Credo and because I don't know, I made a video and I put it on YouTube, and it's like a 3-minute video, and it was just like me sharing a little bit of a David Icke video where it's called it's a documentary of Credo Mutwa, knowledge of humanity before something or other, but and Credo's talking about the dolphins he's talking about dolphins and whales in the oceans, and that how the dreams, they communicated with him and his people through dream states and the knowledge and their high, how they have that high frequency. But the dolphins and the whales are actually, their consciousness is the conscious from Sirius. Those are entities, from the Syrian star system, and they're embodied in these creatures. And so anyway, but yeah, so that documentary, I just shared just a little tiny snippet of that Credo talking about the dolphins in the ocean and how they're not really fishes, they're people, and that and that we humans are the one we've been put here in exile, our consciousness. So anyway, that video I made, I guess it's gone out and it's touched a lot of people somehow, and so I wanted to kind of just follow up and make a video and talk about Credo a little bit more, and how he's been impactful to me. Like, it's just amazing. I feel like a little tiny kid, watching his videos and like hearing him talk, and and when I'm in the sharing the story about having his nails get pulled off and everything, it's like he experienced that, and he's telling David Icke about it, and there's not one drop of like anger or, and if he ever does communicate any kind of ego dissatisfaction, it's always in this most poetic, incredible way. I mean, he described himself as a quixotic backwards donkey, and it's just like, oh my God, so he's angelic at the very least. And I don't know. So I just wanted to kind of talk about all that, and just I guess make it a statement about we as humans widening the aperture of our lens, so to speak. There's tons of knowledge out there, and it comes from and don't be if you see something that's strange or odd to you, don't be dismissive of something. Just try to open your heart and see things through that way. But yeah, Credo Mutwa is incredible. Sananda, incredible. Sananda's presence is alive and well. I posted a video where he's being interviewed, and I can't remember the name of the physical avatar, but anyways, folks, it's a great time to be alive. It's a great time to be awake, to be aware, to escape the digital matrix, because there's a beautiful, whole, wonderful story out there that's not in those little video games and stuff. Our reality and truth can be much more entertaining and stranger than the fiction and the lies that have been created and thread into this digital matrix. So don't get caught up in all that. Is the message. Just kind of keep elevated, stay elevated, and namaste, namaskaram.